Alrighty, now that I'm done with the news stuff for now until new stuff happens, let's talk about another prospect. Now, what am I wearing? I'm wearing a shirt and a hat that were sent to me by subscribers, and when that happens, I usually see like this beautiful Orlando Solar Bears jersey, and it's like, I can't wear that with the NHL reviews, previews. So during the regular season, I'm kind of restricted when it comes to what I'm wearing, and in the off season, can kind of wear what I want, including mix and match. And I used to do this a lot back in the infancy of the channel until I met my wife and she went, no. And that's pretty much literally what happened. She's just pointing, don't do that. I'd be like, but come on, I want to wear a Montreal hat and a Toronto jersey. And she's like, no, just don't. Trevor Zegras, who's projected to go number 5 by HockeyProspect.com. All of these notes, of course, from the black book that they produce, the PDF file, and the link to buy that will be included in the description for this video. As we get ready for the draft this coming Friday in Vancouver. So I will go through a different prospect per day. And then after the draft is over, I will use that same book and we'll talk about some diamonds in the rough potentially. And because there's notes on tons of prospects. Hockey sense, an 8 for Trevor on that. Compete level, a 6 on that. Skill, 8, and skating is a 7. So overall, he projects very highly. They give him an A grade overall. He's 6 foot tall, 166 pounds. He's held his spot on HockeyProspect.com for most of this year. He made the most of his opportunity when Jack Hughes was hurt. So he plays on the new U.S. national development team, and he played quite well when Jack Hughes was out. This is one of those things that as a prospect, when you get that opportunity, you've got to make the most of it. Because if you don't, those same scouts are going, this kid just doesn't have it, and then your stock drops. If you're looking for a guy who's going to play for an NHL team this coming season, Trevor's not going to be it. He's playing for Boston College this coming season, 2019-2020. So, not likely to sign a contract right out of the draft. We'll see whether he plays 1 year at Boston College or 2, or what happens with that. He has dynamic passing ability, including the fact that he can make crazy no-look passes on one knee. The kind of passes most guys can't make when they're standing up. So there's a lot of talent there. But I get the feeling there's something else under that. And that's in the rest of the notes. He's good at faking out goalies and defenders. So he's good at looking the goaltender off. So the goalie can't tell, is he going to make the pass or is he going to take the shot? And that's something that veteran players are pretty good at in the National Hockey League. But if you got a rookie who can do that, he's a step ahead. Now in red are the issues. He's been prone to unforced turnovers, which when you add it to the fact that sometimes he holds the puck too long, I'm starting to wonder if maybe this is one of those cases where you'll see a kid that maybe he thinks, you know what, I can do this myself. I got it. I got it. I'll do it. I got it. See it in the NHL all the time. There are times where I've seen some of my favorite players do that. I think there were times during this past Stanley Cup run where I think Brad Marchand kind of had that problem. And there have been times where I've watched a hockey game and I've said out loud, no, I got it. Don't worry about it. I got it. And that's something that stands out with a lot of these, even NHL level players. Now, as the season went along, those negatives dropped. So they make note that these negatives were there and seemed to peak. It looks like they peaked around January when I go by all these notes. And there's a lot of notes on Zegras. He's likely a top 6 playmaking center. That's the end-all be-all after this. So he's likely your playmaker. I want to say a David Krejci type. But again, I don't like comparing these kids to guys already in the NHL. Because I think every player is unique. But that seems to be the one that comes to mind the most. NHL Scout in January of 2019 said he's after Hughes for me on that team. He's ahead of Turcotte. So we have at least one NHL Scout as recently as 5 months ago saying to me he's ahead of Turcotte. So this is why the draft really opens up after 2. So it's Hughes, it's Kakko. Those are likely 1 and 2. and then after that, it's really wide open. Another scout on March 2019. There's no debate about his skill, but we could debate his level of compete and hockey sense. It's not great at times. So that comes back to what's in red here, the unforced turnovers and holding the puck too long. That's what I read into this right here, that that's where hockey sense comes into it. You're skating in, you're 1-on-3, and I'm going to go through all of them. No, you're not. Oh, look, you turned the puck over. So that seems to be some of what goes on there. Hockey prospect scout Brad Allen says, I think Zegras developed into the player Ryan Suzuki could have developed into, but hasn't. Not yet anyway. So Ryan Suzuki, younger brother of the Montreal prospect that they acquired from Vegas. And this is a comment that Zegras kind of stepped into the spot that Suzuki was likely supposed to play. So that's a positive. Also, from hockey prospect scout Mark Edwards, this month said, I got mixed reviews on interviews. Some scouts loved him, others not so much. And to me, and again, I'll get into how I read that. I didn't love some of the details, but as you can see in our ranking, it wasn't enough to drop him on our list. So basically, some of the scouts interviewed him and didn't like it. Some of the scouts interviewed him and did. He's still projected at number 5 because of his overall talent. And that tells me that maybe he was cocky in his interviews. Maybe he was a little self-assured. Maybe there were some scouts that maybe he didn't think he needed to learn a lot more. Maybe he thinks, I'm ready to go. I'm good. I'm already NHL ready. And there are some teams that would really like the confidence, and there are others who would say, you know what, he's got to learn his place before we're going to draft him. So it's going to be very interesting to see who ends up drafting him. And I understand that at this point there are going to be people saying, but what about? I will cover, I've got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so I got 3 more prospects I can cover between now and Friday. And I want to cover the guys who they have rated as the higher rated prospects. And then we could take a look back after the draft, see where their prospect book lines up with how things have turned out. And we'll also look at the mock drafts done by others and see where they line up. But this is why this draft is viewed as so wide open. You could look at Zegras and say, this kid has a lot of talent. Yeah, maybe there's an attitude. Maybe he holds the puck a little bit long. Maybe there's some unforced turnovers. But you know what? He has so much talent that we can overlook some of that. And we can coach. We can coach for the skating and the compete level to get a little bit higher. Or there's teams looking and going, yeah, he's got all the talent in the world. But when you combine some of the negatives, I think I'd rather look at Turcotte. I'd rather look at Boldy. So that's where that's going to get interesting. Because the one thing that's made clear in this book is that teams all have different lists for their top prospects. And so depending on who's drafting where, we may end up with a very, very unpredictable turnout. So let me know what you guys think regarding Zegras and his place in the draft. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And hey, thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I'll talk to you again soon.